Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Fires upfield into the end zone, and it's caught. Jelani Woods, touchdown! INDY!
A 43-point night for Tyrese Halliburton.
How do you like that, partner?
Renew now, drives in low, throws up a shot. It doesn't go. Tipped up and in by Anthony Leal. Indiana takes the lead.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
Now, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hey, everybody, welcome aboard on this Friday, Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Appreciate you being with us. As always, another packed day ahead. Looking forward to enjoying that with you. Plenty to talk about. First of all, Kansas loses that important player. Looking forward to talking to Zach Osterman today. Indiana has some visits set, important visits. We'll talk about that. Trent Sisley and Brallan Mullins both. And Brallan Mullins joining us on the program today as well. So looking forward to talking to Braylon as he heads off to the NBA Top 100 camp this weekend. So plenty to get to and talk about. How's your get you set up for the weekend? Some new digs back behind us. I see the flag's not where it should be, though. The Indianapolis 500 flag. We'll have to get that taken care of. How's everybody doing? And are you set up for the weekend, I hope? John Boy, how are you doing, sir?
You know, I'm doing just peachy. Sorry for the delayed response. Didn't know I was going to be pulled in, but I'm doing pretty good. Feeling happy to be going on vacation next week. So, you know, the vibes are on point.
Yeah, again, someone asked me something about I can't find my phone that's going off. Oh, I must
little first segment antics going on.
I sat it down someplace and I couldn't find it, but because I was working on this stupid mic stand that has been giving me grief for some time, and I thought I had finally had it fixed, and I was wrong. But good thing you have tools around, I guess. So there is that.
You mentioned you said there was people that said something about, I don't know what you were getting into, but you had a thought that you were trying to complete before your phone went off.
There are people that say something. They said something about you doing a good job yesterday filling in, which
I'm glad to hear that.
I've been trying to tell him that for a while. I said, you can do it, but it reminded me of a story that's, boy, he'd get thrown in jail for this today. But when I was a kid, I remember my sister wouldn't go into the lake one time. We were on a boat. She wouldn't go in, said, I can't swim. He picked her up and threw her he picked her up and threw her in. And it's funny how quickly she learned how to swim.
That's a nice little comparison, I guess.
Well, I mean, I kind of laugh because I'm like, you'd go to jail for that today, man.
You could, I feel like. One other piece of news we haven't mentioned yet. Kanan Catchings decommits from Purdue.
Oh, yeah. Big, kind of a surprise. And the odd thing is, how badly do you think they wish they had Mason Gillis back? The sixth man of the year in the Big Ten last year, he made more three-point shots than Braylon Smith did. Braden Smith, rather. He made more three-point shots than Braden Smith. And now he has that Duke. But much to the disagreement of a lot of Purdue fans, he and Ethan Morton were just kind of shown the door, not told you have to leave, but hey, that there wasn't room for you because the recruiting class that was coming in is what it is. And now, boy, now they've got an open spot.
And speaking of open spots,
which means they don't have to kick. There was yet another person who was going to lose their scholarship and they weren't going to announce it. Do you remember us having that conversation?
Maybe it was. I mean, was it Kanan Catchings? I remember you mentioning that before.
No. It would have been someone like the last guy on the bench.
Okay.
But it dang sure was not Kanan Catchings. He is one of the top freshmen that are coming in, I would say.
Well, how involved do you think Indiana will be, if at all, with Kanan Catchings? Now that, again, they still have that open scholarship. A lot of people speculate that maybe at this point it won't get filled at all. But
I don't see it getting filled.
Catchings be? I mean, not that he wouldn't be worthy, but like, is it worth pursuing at this point? I guess.
I think that they have a lot on their plate already with the guys that they're chasing. They have a number of 2025 recruits that they're already chasing. And no, I mean, I'm not going to say they're not going to get involved. It would make no sense not to, but also it makes you wonder why he decommitted. But Purdue is not going. I've said this for a while, and I said this. I was on Dan Dockage's show the other day, and thanks to Dan for having me on. By the way, appreciate it very much. But Purdue is. I don't think that they're going to fall apart, but they're a top 4 team. You know, they've been used to being an overwhelming number 1, no doubter coming in, and that's not going to be the case. That wasn't going to be the case. If I'm Purdue, I hit the portal, and you go find some experience, because with 6 freshmen, now 5, but when it was 6 freshmen coming in, that's just under half your roster.
And you need to be looking for somebody who's only a 1-year guy, because you don't want somebody who's going to be potentially taking up a scholarship spot for the next few years when you've already got a lot of those issues going on.
Depends on who it is, though. I mean, if it's someone talented, not at all. But yeah, if they're talented, no, you take them. You take what you can get if they're talented, but it gives you more options. It's somebody that you can look and see. What have they done? What have they produced? How have they been coming along? So we got to take a break. It didn't take long. Indiana Sports Beat, of course, powered by Andy Moore Honda. Just go to andymorehonda.com and get more to your door in the best in new and used vehicles. And by the Autograph app, where real fans get unreal rewards. You can either go to the Google Play Store or what is it for you iPhone users? Apple, the Apple app. So either one of those, or download it on the link.ag.fan/ISB media. Either way, make sure you use ISB media. Download the Autograph app in any of those fashions where unhinged fandom meets unreal rewards. Michael Mangarelli, former NCAA attorney, joins us next. We'll talk about some of all of these settlements that have gone on with the NCAA. Back with more right after this.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to andymorehonda.com and get more to your door. If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at cheryl@indyhomepros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty.
Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33 is located just west of I-69 off the Lloyd Expressway. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details.
Formerly BB's Chop Shop Market and Table is located on South Walnut in Bloomington and is your one-stop shop for high-quality meats, bakery items, and now fresh seafood. Chop Shop Market and Table has the largest selection of in-house made products around and everything you need to make a gourmet meal at home. Or pick out a tomahawk steak or a grouper filet and enjoy it cooked to perfection in Chop Shop Steakhouse. Chop Shop Market and Table, a part of the WOW Food Group, is your butcher, baker, and fish house, no matter where you live.
This segment is brought to you by the Chop Shop.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio. I don't know why that's ringing on through here. But welcome back. Michael Mangarelli. Man, we've got all kinds of things going on this Freaky Friday.
Don't we, Jim? Good morning.
My phone is now connected to the computer, so that's a little crazy. But there you go. Yeah. Got mic issues. About stripped out the bolt on the microphone arm. So we've just got all kinds of things going on, man.
It's Friday morning. Everything's about to get better.
It is. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How about you, sir?
I can't complain. Nobody wants to listen to
it. Truth.
We have had a litany of agreements reached, I guess, by the NCAA, which that's kind of funny in and of itself to hear. But the House versus the NCAA case was the big one, of course. Going back to 2016, athletes will pave the way to get paid back till then. And I was wondering, well, why back just till 2016? I'm like, our buddy Mitchell Page, I'm sure he would like a little sauce, but I think he left right about then, so he's out of luck. But explain why it stopped there and why other athletes aren't getting that same accorded to them.
Well, there certainly could be some statute of limitations issues involved. I certainly don't know all the ins and outs of class action lawsuits. But if you talk about just the House settlement, and I think two smaller cases, similar type cases, have been kind of folded into what's being reported as a settlement agreement. I think it's up to 6,000 plaintiff student athletes that are part of what they're calling a settlement agreement. It's kind of funny to me. It's being reported as basically a settlement agreement has been reached. But what I think it better is characterized is as an agreement to settle. There are just so many issues still to figure out and so many potential minefields to this act of actually getting to the finish line. And don't forget, the House case is scheduled to go to trial early January of 25. So the clock is ticking. The NCAA is not really known as a fast-moving, forward-moving organization when it comes to making big decisions and big changes. So I'm still very, very skeptical. And then, it's obviously apples to oranges, but look at the framework agreement that the PGA Tour and Live Golf gloriously announced now over a year ago. And we're still in the framework agreement with zero specifics and anything final hammered out in that. And those issues involved there is basically two big pots of money and how to divide them. This has many more moving parts, the House settlement. And I see at least 4 major minefields to getting an agreement to settle to in the final agreement settlement. So I'm skeptical. If I had to put I'm not a betting man, but if I had to put odds on it, actually something getting finalized, hammered out, approved by the court by the end of 24, I would certainly put it under less than 50% likelihood.
Yeah, of course. That's how it usually goes. And then there is also another settlement that has to do with basically allowing the transfer rules, which in essence, it's just the NCAA waving the white flag because they can't win anything as it is. So
100% correct. Perfectly categorized by you, Jim. They're just waving the white flag, basically telling the states that sued them. I want to say it was Virginia and Tennessee. That might not be exactly right, but basically saying, hey, we're not going to do anything regarding what you've sued us for. So if we agree to that, then will you please remove this other pieces of legislation currently pieces of litigation currently going against us? So yeah, a big nothing burger as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it cracks me up how they used to fight everything right down to parking tickets. I mean, it was utterly ridiculous. And they still have one other. They're being sued by the 2 Ivy League players who are seeking their 5th year because the Ivy League did not play during COVID. They canceled the entire conference, canceled all sports. So these guys want their 5th year.
I think ultimately if the NCAA is a defendant in that, ultimately, I think they can actually remove themselves from that. I think that just comes down to Ivy League rules that are more restrictive than what the NCAA was allowing.
Would they sue the Ivy League or because they will have left? They will have wanted to go to another school, but it'll be too late.
Yeah, it should be too late, though. I guess at a new school, they could seek a waiver that gives them that extra year, and the new school could sponsor that waiver, but they wouldn't be eligible at that new school until that waiver actually gets granted. So that might be a way for the NCAA to kind of just, rather than having another case out there against us, we'll just go ahead and grant these. When you're talking about billions of dollars at stake here with some of these other cases, that's kind of small potatoes. And the NCAA, their actual survival is let there be no mistake about this. Their survival is on the line here completely. And really the only thing keeping them alive right now is their NCAA basketball tournament contract with CBS, TBS, True, whomever all those other parties are involved with it, paying revenue. The Power Five, the Big Ten, the SEC, they want that money. And the other 27 Cinderella conferences, I'll call them, need that money. And without that money being held there, there's nothing keeping the NCAA around at this point. So it's like this might be about NIL and compensation or revenue sharing, but the NCAA, the only thing keeping them around, their usefulness to these schools, regardless of what class they are in within Division I, is that contract. The small guys need access to it to stay solvent. and the big guys see a possible chance to snag it for themselves at some point, whether they would admit to that now or not, which they won't.
Yeah, and then you still have there's yet another issue that they're dealing with. How everybody's going to get paid.
Well, that's the biggest minefield for me to getting a House settlement agreement finalized and then across the finish line, because you're talking about 6,000 students, and they come from all different sports, football, basketball, but all the non-revenue sports. Heck, the named plaintiff House is a swimmer from Arizona State. There is no question, there is no money in this proposed settlement for non-revenue sport student athletes. There's no money. There will not be any money, even if they hammer out this $2.8 billion settlement. It's going to be a formula that basically says if your sport makes money, you can share in that money. But if your sport doesn't make money, and as we know, the vast majority don't, they've been propped up by football and basketball for decades now, there's not going to be any money for those student athletes, whether they're a part of this settlement or not.
What is considered making money? Profit?
Well, I keep
There's a
hearing
difference between profit and making money.
It's a great point. I keep hearing revenue sharing. Well, revenue is just money before expenses. So that doesn't mean you've made a profit. So I still find it hard to believe that there's going to be revenue sharing. What I suspect it will ultimately be will be profit sharing. But I will leave that to the accountants and the actuarial scientists, or whatever the terms are, when they start hammering out an agreement. But if I was a non-revenue student athlete who was going to be impacted by this settlement, I would be asking myself a couple questions. Is it going to put money in my pocket? The answer to me clearly is no. Is it going to make the current wide open transfer and name, image, and likeness legislation right now more restrictive as a piece of this settlement? If it is, well, guess what? Now all of a sudden I'm in a worse spot by agreeing to this settlement than I would have been beforehand. And then the other piece is sports are going to get eliminated. Non-revenue sports are going to get eliminated as the fat gets chopped due to this settlement. What if you vote in agreement? What if you approve this settlement as a golf student athlete and as a sophomore, and the next year they whack your sport? It's not even a varsity sport anymore, not even a Division I sport at your school. I think that non-revenue student athletes need to think long and hard. Is there anything in a proposed settlement for me? Is it actually worse for me if I approve this settlement? And to me, that's the biggest minefield. The worst case scenario for this settlement being blown to smithereens is non-revenue student athletes collectively getting together and saying, there's nothing in this for us. We don't approve this. We object to it. They have as much of a say as an All-American men's basketball player in terms of being a plaintiff, one of the 6,000 plaintiffs within this settlement class. And that's the worst nightmare, is they all get together and say, hey, there's nothing in this for us. It actually could quickly get worse for us. Why would we approve this settlement?
Yeah, because to probably shocking to some people, but let's take Indiana women's basketball, for example. They drew 10,000 people a game. They do not make money. They're not a profitable sport. They are still they don't pay for themselves in essence. So even with something like that, that's so visual, and people are going to be, well, how the heck do they not make money? Because it takes so much money. The scholarships, they're not free. No. They have to be paid for they still have to be paid for. They're not just given away. People think that they're just given away. No, it's not how universities work. Those scholarships are still paid for by the athletics department, correct?
Correct. The room and board paid for, the meals paid for, and all of the practice facility gear, all of that stuff is paid for. So yeah, it's, again, what are we talking about here? Revenue sharing or profit sharing? If we're talking about revenue sharing, fine, but that makes even less sense to me.
Yep.
What we're really talking about is profit sharing. And again, this is just the facts. There might be outlier. Nebraska women's volleyball probably makes money. UConn women's basketball probably makes money. But the vast majority of any women's sports do not make money. And the vast majority of men's sports don't make any money.
It's football and basketball. That's it. Like you said, those are the money makers, and attendance is a big part of that. But the vast majority of the money comes from television, with the TV rights have come from, and that is where the bulk of that comes from. The Big Ten, as most people know, kicks in. What are they up to? 70 million to each school right now, and that'll go up as these 4 schools from the Pac-12 saunter into the Big Ten now, and grow those markets. And now you're in Los Angeles. You've got Chicago. The Big Ten is in the top 3 media markets in the United States now, with Rutgers out of New York. You've got Northwestern and the Big Ten in Chicago, and of course USC, UCLA out in Los Angeles. Those are the top 3 TV markets in the world. Well, I shouldn't say world, there are bigger cities, but in the country, at least in the United States. And so that's as good as any conference is going to get from a TV standpoint.
Agree. The Big Ten Network has been an overwhelming success. But that's not necessarily the case with these other Power 5, or now I guess Power 4 conferences, their own in-house networks. The Big Ten Network is really the gold standard for that. Heck, when I lived out on the West Coast, for 7-8 years, Pac-12 was still one of the Power 5s, and their Pac-12 network was a nightmare in terms of availability. In terms of profitability, it was a complete disaster.
That's part of the reason the Pac-12 went under.
Absolutely. So Big Ten gets a lot of credit for being forward-thinking and then making it work. And quite frankly, I'm a Big Ten kid, but there's almost always programming on the Big Ten Network that I find interesting, almost regardless of what the sport it's actually addressing. So kudos to them, but they've gotten plenty of kudos for that network over the years.
If the schools are going to have to pay these non-revenue sports athletes, what about charging them for the scholarships? What about charging them room and board? All right, you're going to get paid, but you have to pay for this.
No way. No, that toothpaste is out of the tube at this point. And just thinking about it, the Title IX potential implications alone would probably shut that down. But they won't do that. That's a non-issue. But it's an interesting point you bring up in terms of sharing the cost. So one other thing about this, and another potential minefield I see in this House settlement possibility. So if you remember 2 weeks ago, I think it was 2 weeks ago yesterday, the NCAA and the Power 5 conferences issued their flowery statement that, hey, we've reached an agreement to reach a settlement. And if you looked at the minutia of $2.8 billion, but guess what? The 27 conferences, the smaller Division I conferences that weren't even part of that settlement discussion, didn't even have a seat at the table. And they're not even named defendants in this class action. It's the NCAA and it's the 5 power conferences. They're going to be on the hook for $1 billion of this
$2.8
billion settlement. Well, pocket change perhaps for the Big Ten and the SEC, not big pocket change for the Metro Athletic Conference or the Big West or the Sun Belt. Definitely not pocket change. And the thing I found amazing is that they weren't even part of this discussion before this press release was put out. So I followed up with some former colleagues this week, 2 of them at 2 separate conferences, and they're both on the senior teams on those conferences. And I said, hey, what do you think about having to pay for $1 billion? Here's a direct quote from one. needless to say, we are not happy. And the other one was total betrayal by the NCAA. So that's another potential minefield. These schools, these conferences had no say whatsoever in this settlement, this proposed settlement, but now they're going to be on the hook for $1 billion of this $2.8 billion proposed settlement. Now, so I did a little legal research, and I know we don't want to get too deep into the weeds on legalities, but there is a legal tool for class action lawsuits called intervention, which basically means I'm not a party to this agreement, but any settlement would adversely impact my interests. So I'm going to file an intervention to try to block or to reconfigure whatever proposed settlement is on the table. I don't know that these 27 conferences are going to go that route, but it is there for them to pursue if they decide, you know what, this is a bad deal for us all the way around, and we didn't even have a voice in the process. So I would call that potential minefield number 2.
And I would, if I were them, I would definitely do that because I don't know how they would afford otherwise.
Well, they're in a tricky spot.
Don't make the money.
They're in a tricky spot because they need that NCAA basketball tournament revenue, and they don't have a lot of leverage in terms of saying, you know, we're not going to put our teams out there to play. I think that would be a bad strategy. So they've got to be able to kind of thread the needle if they want to go the intervention route. But it is certainly a potential minefield out there in terms of getting the settlement agreement to the finish line.
What are the odds this gets done by the end of next athletic season, and that goes all the way through the spring?
So by like the fall, by September, zero
not
chance.
Not this September.
September of
I'm talking about
2025.
even next. Yeah.
I mean, we'll see. Here's the other thing that is just hanging out there, the elephant in the room. So they reached this settlement, and yeah, they can put the House case to bed. They can put a couple of the other smaller cases that have been folded into this settlement proposal to bed, but it does nothing for legal and financial certainty going forward. It will do nothing to prevent anyone from suing the NCAA or the Power 5 conferences for similar issues going forward, as long as they aren't part of the settlement class, as part of the plaintiff class. You know, and if this revenue sharing or profit sharing comes out with this settlement proposal and it basically does nothing for women student athletes, which I don't believe it will, then all of a sudden someone is going to probably pursue some sort of Title IX legal action. Whether it's a winning argument or not, I'm not qualified to say, but if nothing else, it can hold up any final settlement being reached. And here's the other thing too. They need antitrust exemption. That's the only way they will ever get certainty that they're not going to be sued going forward for all of these same issues that we're talking about now and are going to be talking about going forward. But Congress is not going to do the NCAA any favors. They're just not going to do it. You talking about Southern senators who have seen their state U, probably their alma maters, get dinged by the NCAA over the years. They're not going to do the NCAA any favors. So I think antitrust exemption for the NCAA is a pipe dream. Now, what I think could happen is Congress being the way they are. If Congress wants to kill the NCAA, I can come up with a scenario that basically is behind the scenes, congressmen, people on the antitrust committee talking to the Big Ten, talking to the SEC and saying, listen, we're not doing the NCAA any favors, but if you pull away, you form your own entity, we might be inclined to go ahead and make that happen for you. That I could see as a total scenario. So it's going to be fascinating. But I think there's this long standing, the problem with the NCAA is they've burned so many bridges over the years with both the public and now with the Division I membership that there's no love for the NCAA anymore, even by those who traditionally at least felt that they did a good job of running Division I and playing it down the middle behind the scenes. There's that famous Jerry Tarkanian quote, The NCAA came after UNLV, and Cleveland State ended up on probation. And, it's still hilarious to this day, but it's absolutely true. But at least behind the scenes, the NCAA did a credible job of convincing those smaller schools, those smaller conferences, hey, you're the membership. You guys figure it out. We're kind of the mediator. And whatever the end result is, the end result is. With this settlement press release 2 weeks ago, that's been blown to smithereens for those 27 smaller conferences. They're not going to trust the NCAA at this point. They weren't even advised on this before it got put out, and they're on the hook right now as it stands for $1 billion. So I just don't think there's any life raft for the NCAA. It might be a slow death because of, again, the only thing they still have is a chip on the poker table is that tournament contract with CBS. But guess what? At some point, that goes away too.
And a lot of people are confusing NIL and this. This really has, to my knowledge, doesn't have anything to do with NIL. Those are kind of separate. I mean, players are getting paid through NIL, obviously, but this is just getting paid for being an athlete, not NIL opportunities. The NIL is an opportunity, and it's an open market kind of a thing.
There is some aspect of NIL involved with this House settlement, but you're absolutely right. They're two separate revenue streams, if you want to call it that, potential for athletes. NIL is not going anywhere. That's another case where the toothpaste is out of the tube, and they're not going to put it back in. There's no way to put it back in, quite frankly. And I think these schools probably look at NIL as a potential buffer against Title IX concerns, because they can reasonably say, hey, this is not us. These are these separate for-profit entities, and they're not subject to Title IX restrictions. So you'd never get anybody on record saying we like NIL because it helps buffer us against Title IX concerns, but it does. And because of that fact, and because it's not money that's technically coming out of the school's pockets, it's these collective pockets, I don't see it going anywhere. You might hear comments here and there about how it's changing the way we do recruiting, and we're losing focus for our student athletes. You might get some coaches' comments along those lines, but NIL is not going anywhere. They might ultimately regulate it a little bit more, but in terms of it going away, no, it's here to stay.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with it. It's the smaller schools that have the biggest problems, because they end up losing athletes, and it's not a trickle down, it's a trickle up effect with athletes.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's not supposed to be part of the recruiting process, but give me a break.
That has changed now.
It's the biggest part. I don't care what the rules technically say right now. It's the biggest part of the recruiting process right now. How big is my bag if I come to your school? And you know what? I'm not going to blame the student athletes for that. That's America, quite frankly, on some level. So the schools had many years, decades, to come up with something to get this issue figured out before it became a smoldering lava pit. But anyone in position over those last 2 decades of power to change the system, to champion paying the players in a way that works for everybody. We're talking the NCAA senior executive leadership, conference commissioners, ADs, head coaches. All of them viewed paying the workforce as against their own financial best interests. And honestly, it probably is. But that being the case, that's why, I keep hearing these comments. Well, why didn't the NCAA see this coming? Well, they did. But anybody in a position to potentially head it off at the pass basically said to themselves in so many words, well, we can still draw this out for X number of years, and my salary is not going to go down during X number of years because you don't have to pay the workforce. So where's my own interest in doing the right thing, doing the smart thing, however you want to categorize it? It was never going to happen. That's why you've never heard a current head coach, advocate for their athletes getting paid. And you never will, because, what I think is going to happen here, I don't think head coaching salaries are going to go down. I don't think conference commissioner salaries are going to go down. Well, I'm not going to speak to the NCAA salaries going down. What you're going to see is the assistant coaches' salaries going down, the number of assistant coaches on rosters going down, the number of conference office staff going down. That's where you're going to start seeing where, we have to trim the fat because now we have to pay the players a certain amount. Well, the fat's not the head coaches. It's not the conference commissioners. It's not the ADs. It's the supporting staff immediately behind them who play a critical role, but it's just a reality of the financial scenario that they're headed for.
And I know not everybody doesn't want to hear about this or talk about this, but let me tell you, if you are a serious player in athletics, you might want to educate yourself to know why your school or your program that you like, whatever, is in the shape that they're in, or whatever the case may be, because this has everything to do with it.
Absolutely.
Mango, appreciate you as always, my friend.
Great to be on, Jim, anytime. I'm sure some of your listeners prefer to hear about the Hoosiers, and I do too, but this is going to have a huge impact on college sports as we know it, both in the present and in the future. And because it's changing so quickly, so fluidly, I would happy to be on and talk about the latest developments anytime you've had me.
Appreciate you, my friend. Michael Mangarelli, former NCAA attorney, now Indiana Sports Beats attorney of record on all things NCAA. Have a good one, my buddy. Appreciate you.
Take care.
We've got lots more coming up, brought to you by our great friend Cheryl Sizemore. For those in the market for a home in the Indianapolis area, you definitely need Cheryl Sizemore and her 2 decades of experience. It could be the difference between getting the home you want or not. Reach out to her, Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. We're back with more, including Zach Osterman in the next hour, and Brallan Mullins joins us in the next hour as well.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33 is located just west of I-69 off the Lloyd Expressway. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf Community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details.
Formerly BB's Chop Shop Market and Table is located on South Walnut in Bloomington and is your one-stop shop for high-quality meats, bakery items, and now fresh seafood. Chop Shop Market and Table has the largest selection of in-house made products around and everything you need to make a gourmet meal at home. Or pick out a tomahawk steak or a grouper filet and enjoy it cooked to perfection in Chop Shop Steakhouse. Chop Shop Market and Table, a part of the Wild Food Group, is your butcher, baker, and fish house, no matter where you live.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door.
This segment is brought to you by Freethink Apparel.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Friday, getting your weekend started. Thanks a lot for being with us. Zach Osterman will join us in the next hour, as will Brallan Mullins, part of Indiana Elite and one of the fastest rising players in the recruiting world. I'm speaking of which, and I think UConn had reached out to him. And speaking of UConn, about Mr. Hurley supposedly meeting with the Lakers today about the possibility of taking over the Lakers and moving on from the college game. It's exactly 20 years, I think, since Mike Krzyzewski had this same conversation with the same team. And I don't know. There's something I don't about. I'm thinking Hurley might do this because they're going to put together a hell of an offer, but and it's easier and harder at the same time. Obviously, it can't be too hard. That what's hard, not hard enough that he can't do it, because he's done what nobody has done since Mike Krzyzewski, winning back-to-back national titles in the last 2 years. But he's done it in an era and in a way that is more than surprising, because he lost 75% of his offense from his first national championship team and was able to come back and do it again. So, but in the NBA, you don't have that responsibility of finding the players. You just coach the team. That's all you do. And I got to say, trading cold Connecticut for a warm Los Angeles, very enticing. But we'll see it. But man, what would that do to? That'll turn recruiting on its head for a little bit. You'll see a ton of players available. I would say most of the players that are there went there for Hurley, not for UConn. So all kinds of stories. Looking forward to talking to Brallan Mullins today. He heads off to the NBA's Top 100 camp tomorrow. And well, that's he's not playing. We have the All-Star games tonight and tomorrow with the seniors, after the seniors coming off of a pretty daggone good game with the juniors, 104-96. Flory Badunga just destroyed everybody. What do you have? 33 and 20, or 34 and 22, something like that. Holy cow. That's an unstoppable wreck. Trent Sisley led the juniors in scoring. Big night shooting from behind the arc. I'm telling you, if you remember what did I call him? What do I call him now? The shot father. The shot father worked with him. Not that he wasn't doing well, but his 3-point shooting seems to have really picked up. He hit 4 of 5 3-point shots in that game, totaling 18 points. So, but these guys are still always working to get better. And it shows. Speaking of Trent, I think I broke yesterday that he has set his recruiting dates for Purdue, which is going to be, September 7th. He will come to Indiana on September 20th, along with Brallan Mullins, who is joining us today. So they're going to be on the trip at the same time. Then Trent is off to Notre Dame on the 27th. He has an unofficial visit with Dusty May up in Michigan next week on the 14th, a week from today, as a matter of fact. Need to try to get Dusty on, as I'm thinking of that. And there is a visit that with Michigan State that is to be announced at a later time. They haven't set that one yet, but the three big ones, the in-state ones, are set. So there is that, and you got that out of the way. And in between, it's a busy time. These guys, they will be down in Rock Hill, South Carolina, playing for the Adidas 3SSB Championship, July 9th through the 14th. So they don't have a lot of time off time. And then here comes school, the visits, and then you got to make it. Well, you don't have to, but then you're going to make an announcement. So this stuff's all going to kind of boom, boom, boom. It's just going to start rolling when it comes to all that. But yeah, I look forward to talking to Braylon. Haven't had him on yet before. You talk about one of the fastest rising recruits in the country. That would be Brallan Mullins. Offers coming in from Kansas, from North Carolina, just all these different schools. But the situation with Hurley shows that players have to now always be paying attention because things change in a heartbeat. But the good thing is, with the transfer rule, not good for Villanova, not good for UConn, but those players who I assume 90% of went to play for Hurley. Well, he leaves, they can leave. That's like life. And people are just not used to looking at it that way. But if you take a job and you go to work because you want to go to work for a certain person, you can do that. And unless you have a contract, and dang it, that's the one thing I really wanted to ask Mango about. Contracts. Why can they not have contracts with these athletes? If you can basically treat them like pay them and all that, why not have a contract? Why? What is preventing that? That's something I have to ask him. I'll have to either wait till we have him on, or I can't wait that long. I'll have to send him a message. But what's preventing that? I don't understand how that could be prevented. Why? What would shock? There's good and bad both ways. The athletes, well, they've got security. You know what? They're like, well, I'm going to get paid regardless. There's good and bad to that. So we'll have to find out. We'll have to wait and see. But it is a Pandora's box. I know most people hate it. I hate where the games are going, but at the same time, how are they not deserving of a lot of these things? Now it's out of hand because it happens. They're fortunate that it happens to be in an industry that is money or cash rich. I mean, the money's there. Somebody else that means it was going to somebody else. i.e. the schools, the athletics departments, et cetera, et cetera. And is it the responsibility of the football and basketball players to pay for rowing, to pay for archery, to pay for those sports? My answer is no. But a lot of people see it a lot of different ways, and I understand why. Someone asked, Justin says, can Cignetti reel in 5-star Juju, referring to Juju Lewis, the top recruit in the country that made a visit to Indiana recently? No, and it has nothing to do with Indiana being deep at quarterback. He's the number one recruit in the country. None of those other quarterbacks that are in the Indiana quarterbacks room were the number one recruit in the country. They weren't the number 100 quarterback in the country, probably. But that would not affect anything. It's because he has the option of going to Auburn or USC. That's why. And Indiana, not that they can't get to that point, they're not there. And I don't know if that'll happen in 5 years, and neither does Juju Lewis. It's already happened at Auburn and USC. It's happening now. So I don't think that they get him, but they don't have to. Just getting that visit was good enough. All right, we've got to take a break. We've got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Brought to you by our good friends from Free Think. Whether you need 20 t-shirts or 200 for the upcoming softball or baseball leagues, reach out to Free Think at freethinkapparel.com. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at cheryl@indyhomepros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@indyhomepros.com. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33 is located just west of I-69 off the Lloyd Expressway. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer. Formerly BB's Chop Shop Market and Table is located on South Walnut in Bloomington and is your one-stop shop for high-quality meats, bakery items, and now fresh seafood. Chop Shop Market and Table has the largest selection of in-house made products around and everything you need to make a gourmet meal at home. Or pick out a tomahawk steak or a grouper filet and enjoy it cooked to perfection in Chop Shop Steakhouse. Chop Shop Market and Table, a part of the WOW Food Group, is your butcher, baker, and fish house, no matter where you live.
country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details. This segment is brought to you by Hoosier Hanks East.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Friday. Joined now by the IU beat writer from the Indy Star, Zach Osterman. Zach, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good. How about you?
Cannot complain. It's a Friday. And I think we got a little reverb there. But, yeah, it's Friday and looking forward to the weekend. It's beautiful out right now. And got the All-Star games coming up tonight and tomorrow was it in Lexington this year? For Kentucky?
I know they've moved it around in Kentucky.
Yeah. It's hard to keep up with.
Right. Owensboro a couple years ago. So
seniors and the juniors played on Wednesday. A good showing by, Floyd Badunga just wiped the floor, just killed it. We've got Brallan Mullins joining us later on today. He's one of the fastest rising recruits in the country. And then, of course, the news about Danny Hurley possibly going to the Lakers, I believe, meeting with them today. So that would be pretty big news in the world of college basketball, Zach.
Yeah, and everybody's wanted it, kind of turn it into this indictment of like the state of college basketball. And listen, I understand anybody who says the NBA is more appealing right now, the portal and navigating all these changes. We've seen NIL come through, revenue sharing is coming. How do you manage all that? I would also just say, like, it's the Lakers. I mean, if he may not leave, based on what I've heard, it's probably like 50-50. But like, if he does leave, he's not taking the Hawks job. He's not taking the Blazers job. It's the Lakers. You only get that sort of chance once. And it's worth saying too, they're not, I know the Lakers have kind of pumped through a couple coaches in the last, 3 or 4 years. The way they are courting Hurley and his family, this doesn't feel like the sort of thing that would end as quickly as like the John Beilein experiment in Cleveland. They seem intent not just on hiring him, but sort of building out from this vision that, they're going to have a sustained years-long run of success with Dan Hurley as their head coach. So, it feels like the Lakers are selling themselves to him rather than just sort of walking into the next hot assistant's office or whatever and saying, we want, the next up-and-coming head coach in the NBA, or, somebody like Frank Vogel, who was out of a job, but he had the bona fides, and I thought he did a good job in L.A. But they are courting Hurley. They are selling themselves to Hurley and his family. That tells me that there's more commitment to a long-term thing there from the Lakers side as well. And then we always say this, but, it's not like Dan Hurley won't be able to get a job in college. He's got 2 national titles on his resume. He built UConn back into a powerhouse program. It's not like Dan Hurley would have to go look very hard for another opportunity if he ever wanted to come back to the college level. But he hasn't left yet. He may not leave. I don't think it's, it was sort of being treated as fait accompli yesterday. I don't think it is, based on what I've heard. But if he does leave, I think we should all maybe pump the brakes ever so slightly on kind of, college basketball is never going to be any good again. Look at all these coaches leaving. this isn't just any job. This is the Los Angeles Lakers. That's a big deal.
Yeah, and not only that, this happens, I don't want to say all the time, but with some frequency in football. I mean, how many times do you see football coaches being courted by the NFL, or they go over to the NFL in some form or fashion? That happens. The courting at least happens a lot. And so it happens on a lesser scale in basketball, I think, just because it seems to be a lot more from within on the NBA side, but it's just not something that's as out of the ordinary as people are taking it, I think.
No, and I mean, the timing is obviously a little strange, but listen, this is when the NBA is looking for head coaches. That the NBA season is not even over yet, and there's nothing anybody can really do about that. College basketball shouldn't alter its calendar to somehow fit closer to the NBA season. But if you're the Lakers or anybody looking for a new head coach, I mean, you're in no rush right now. You've got plenty of people prepping for the draft. You obviously are months away from the start of even just your training camp, much less your preseason. Like, this is just when hiring happens in the NBA. Would it put UConn in a tough spot? Probably. I'd be curious to see if they would do a search again. And I'm hardly the most plugged in person on UConn basketball. Obviously, I've kind of heard. I've had people suggest both to me that they might hire internally, or that they might conduct a search, even though it is early June. I think the rules are that their players get like a 30-day transfer window if the head coach leaves. So UConn would need to move, pretty decisively, whatever it wanted to do. If it wanted to promote internally, obviously you would imagine that wouldn't take very long. If it wanted to conduct a search, I could think of a small handful of candidates. Steve Peichel makes a lot of sense, obviously, given his ties not just to that part of the country, but UConn as a program. But again, Hurley hadn't accepted the job yet. Now but I think all reports are that he's gone out today, or that maybe he went out like last night, and today is kind of the first big sort of meeting of the minds with him and his family. Because I do think his family, I think his wife is, I think he really kind of collaborates with her on his career. I don't think he just sort of says, "Hey, I took this job, we're all leaving," And I think that they are supposed to meet with the Lakers today, starting today. What I would say is, if I'm just, if I'm listening to the mood music on this, there seemed to be kind of this suggestion that the Lakers already really had Hurley's attention before any formal meetings had taken place. It is kind of hard to imagine that Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss could get the Hurleys out to some gorgeous house in the hills, or Malibu or wherever, and start presenting not just dollar figures, but again, plan, vision of structure and roster building and all this stuff, and the Laker job would actually become less appealing to him. But stranger things have happened, so we'll see. I guess it does seem like one way or the other we'll probably have an idea of this by like the end of the weekend. I would think that we're probably not going to drag it on much beyond that.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I talked about previously, is like, who's not going to look at that? I mean, you're crazy, and you just listed all of the reasons why. These coaches too, they're competitors. They also want to compete, and they want to compete at the highest level, and that is the professional level. Not everybody wants to go there, and it's not because they don't want to compete. It's some of them just don't want to deal with the particular politics or whatever it goes on in a particular league, but they want to go there, so it's not that big of a deal. Kansas loses a big piece for them. Elmarko Jackson, he was a great freshman last year. I mentioned that only because Kansas is always one of those teams that's up in the top 10, and but he was a big piece for that squad.
Yeah, and obviously, that is a roster that was also remade by, by the transfer portal a little bit. I'm pulling up their roster to remind myself basically who all's still there. I know Hunter Dickinson came back. That's where they haven't updated. Of course, they haven't updated their roster. Well, there you go. But I think that's where is that not where AJ Storr landed as well? Jackson obviously statistically was not a key piece for Kansas last year, but he did look like, we've seen particularly guards. Bill Self has always kind of had the ability to identify really talented guards and just almost kind of plug them into a pipeline where if they weren't great as freshmen, then, by their sophomore year, they were, a real sort of, force. And you hate seeing something like the patellar tendon too, because that's a tricky injury. I mean, that's one that is trickier than an ACL, and so you hate seeing that happen to a guy. But yeah, I mean it stings for Kansas, and it's a reminder that you can set your roster all you want, you can still have bad injury luck. I mean, I got a lot of people. It's not quite the same thing, but I had a lot of people kind of come at me when I wrote some stuff out of Huber last week and this week saying, why did it take Mike Woodson so long to learn this quote unquote lesson that he talked about, good guard play wins in college basketball. And I said, well, I don't think he hadn't learned the lesson last year. I just think he bet on the wrong horse. I mean, like he laid his bet last season on the idea that Xavier Johnson could be one of the best guards in the Big Ten. We had a body of evidence from Xavier Johnson's, obviously his time at Pitt and his first season at Indiana, where he was a good guard. And then by the end of that season, he was a very good guard. He was, for the space of about a month, maybe a little bit more, one of the best guards in the Big Ten. And it was when Mike Woodson took his pick and roll offense and really kind of handed the keys to Xavier Johnson, put that trust in him, and Johnson thrived in that. Johnson thrived, particularly when Indiana went to more high ball screens, more high-low with Trace Jackson Davis, not as much post-up offense, get Jackson Davis out moving around. And obviously Jackson Davis was a big piece of that too. But listen, we're talking about Khalil Ware potentially sneaking into the lottery, so it's not like Indiana didn't have a good ball screen offense big last year. They just bet on Xavier Johnson being able to recapture the form he had at the end of 21-22. And he just never really stayed healthy. And that's not anyone's fault. They were freak injuries, the fall against Iowa and the foot thing that just kind of kept coming up. And I know he had a couple on the court things too, but the injuries were a much bigger problem in terms of he didn't look quite healthy even when he was back. And then when you did feel like, okay, maybe he looks healthier now, he still couldn't find his rhythm. He could not kind of ease into the season at any point. And it's sort of, if this was Miles Rice we were talking about, it's not Elmarco Jackson who torn his patellar tendon, and Indiana fans certainly, will be knocking on every piece of wood within reach that doesn't happen. But if that happened, if that were to happen, it wouldn't be a fair criticism to say Mike Woodson didn't learn his lesson about having good guard play come the season. You just can't factor for injuries, and you just, it stinks for the kid, it stinks for the program, and it's a reminder that you spend so much time, looking at the 10-foot view of your team and the 10,000-foot view of everybody else's team that you forget sometimes this stuff happens to other people too.
It sure does. Zach, I know you'll be up in the house for Gainbridge tomorrow night for the Indiana All-Star game, I assume?
I actually will not be there tomorrow.
You lucky dog, you.
Well, I've got kid commitments and birthday parties and all that kind of stuff. Plus, I think Kyle Nedry, is always kind of the point person for us on that stuff. But
he's the king, man. He is definitely the king.
If Indiana winds up, with the class that it wants in 2025, in terms of some of these in-state kids, Mullins, Sisley, Harrelson, etc., then I suspect I will be in the building for that game next year.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Zach Osterman, the IU beat writer for the Indy Star. I appreciate you as always, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Jim.
You betcha. Brought to you by Boost Fundraiser. If you know a team needing or a group needing a fundraiser, Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser around. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member and free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Just go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, C-O-Y-L-E, to receive a discounted fundraiser. We're back with one of those pre-mentioned potential recruits, Brallan Mullins, up next here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Formerly BB's Chop Shop Market and Table is located on South Walnut in Bloomington and is your one-stop shop for high-quality meats, bakery items, and now fresh seafood. Chop Shop Market and Table has the largest selection of in-house made products around and everything you need to make a gourmet meal at home. Or pick out a tomahawk steak or a grouper filet and enjoy it cooked to perfection in Chop Shop Steakhouse. Chop Shop Market and Table, a part of the Wild Food Group, is your butcher, baker, and fish house, no matter where you live.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouth-watering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big-screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33 is located just west of I-69 off the Lloyd Expressway. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at cheryl@indiehomepros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@indiehomepros.com. In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door.
Segment is brought to you by the Fresh Fork in Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this fantastic Friday. It's beautiful outside, man, and I wish I was out there, but couldn't be much better in here. We got Brallan Mullins, one of the fastest rising recruits in college or high school basketball, however you want to look at it, in the upcoming class. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I mean, just woke up, heard I got to get on this show, so I'm here.
And we appreciate you. It's been a busy week. Yeah, you guys had the junior all-stars playing the seniors, but you also played Kentucky, and Trent Sisley was on with us earlier this week, and I asked him, which was a more important game for you, playing against Kentucky or playing against the seniors? I'll ask you the same thing.
Honestly, I think the most important game was the senior game. I felt like it was just more. I feel like since there was more of a crowd, I feel like it was more of a big of a deal in such a way. But no, it's just fun playing against the guys that are older than us. I mean, they're all gonna go on be successful. But yeah, it was fun. I mean, the Kentucky All-Star, I know that's a big game too, especially for next year. So man, both games were fun, but I definitely had fun on Wednesday night. I mean, even though we lost, but it was definitely fun.
Absolutely. Well, and Trent picked the same thing. He said the same thing, basically,
Yeah.
almost exactly that you did. And I understand why, because those are guys that you see during the high school season. And so it's another shot of those. And it's something else I've thought of. Like right now, though, you're playing with a lot of guys, or even in that junior senior game, that the next time you see them or play against them will be in college.
Yeah. So I mean, it was like a last go around kind of deal. I mean, I felt like I played a lot of those guys in AAU and high school season, but I mean now they're all going to college.
Been a big summer for you with Indiana Elite. Those guys, you're undefeated. You talked to Trent about this as well. You've been through a gauntlet of schedule. You guys have been down to Alabama, down to Texas, playing teams from all over this entire summer. But yet you guys are unbeaten before you'll be heading out to Rock Hill, South Carolina next month to play for the championship, which is cool. And the thought of being able to complete that undefeated summer AAU session and bring a championship, that's got to be a very enticing thing in the back of your mind.
Yeah, I mean, the last 2 years that we've been playing in those Rock Hill tournaments, I mean, we've come up short every single time. I feel like this is the best squad we've had in a long time. And I mean, it says it for itself. We had 19-0 on the spring and before the summer started. And no, I feel like everybody knows their role. I mean, we have a solid.
Well, I think we lost you there for a second. There is your phone covered up or something? We're going to see if Braylon can check back in with us I think his link is not connected at the moment or something. I think you're back. Well, now we've lost him again. I think he's on a computer, but we'll get him back on here in a second. But Brallan Mullins joining us right now.
Connection got on with me. Am I good now?
Yes, sir. Fire away, brother. I forget where we were, but yeah. So now coming up. Oh yeah, I was talking about going down to Rock Hill and playing for the championship. How important is it to you guys to finish this off and go win a championship with an undefeated team?
No, it'll definitely be special. I mean, we have that good group, and I feel like everybody knows their role. And I mean, we're solid 8 deep. I mean, we go into every game. It's kind of like an underdog kind of statement, and everybody knows that we're 13-0 in the session. So it's like we have a big target on our back, so we have to play to the best of our ability every single game. And I feel like if we do that, we can win any game. So I mean, I'm gonna have fun next month, and hopefully we win it all.
Yeah, and something I talk about that team all the time is, and you just mentioned everyone knows their own role. That team has a player that fits every role, and they're all different. And to me, it starts with Mark Zachary, the addition of him. He's a little pit bulldog, great point guard that I predict will be playing at Notre Dame as well as playing football up there, that he's going to slide over and play for Micah Shrewsbury. But then you've got yourself at shooting guard, and you've just your summer has just took off like a rocket. Trent, of course, he has had a tremendous summer at the wing spot. Desmond Briscoe, who is just he's a load, man. And of course, Malachi Moreno, who is he cleans the glass. He does a lot of different things, but everybody has a different role, and you guys all play them very well.
Yeah, no, you definitely got that spot on. It's like we all know that starting five. We have a good group of five, and I mean, it's like, and then we rotate our bench guys, and they also know what they're about. I mean, Luke, he's the backup point guard. Sometimes he starts, and then McGuire, he's like our glue guy. I mean, he's like in for defense. He's in for about anything, and then Kellen's our backup big for Dez and Malachi. So I mean, we have solid eight. So it's definitely been fun.
Yeah, and a great coach and Michael Fox, Mike Fox, who runs that program extraordinarily well. It has forever. There's a reason why that they're successful. He kind of has an idea of what he's doing, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. I mean, he's been doing it forever, and I mean, I think this maybe he's coming close on the end because he's been coaching me since like fourth, fifth grade. And no, but I feel like since I've been playing with him so long, he knows everybody so well. And I mean, he runs some great plays. And I mean, I feel like everything works out.
You played on a very good high school team, but what's it like playing on a team like this? That when you go out, you truly expect to win. Not that you don't in high school, but I mean, from a dominant stance, you're undefeated through this circuit, which is not easy. Like I said, you faced a litany of teams from a ton of different places, and you guys have had a couple of close games, but you've had games where you've just destroyed teams as well. You won the last session you went to, the first game, you guys won by like 50. I think you had 100 points yourself or something like that.
Yeah, Texas was like, I felt like we had a good schedule at Texas. I mean, everybody in our the four games, I mean, they were top five in our pool. We were expecting some good games, and then we like started out that first game like 39-6, and I was like, it's like I don't know how we're doing this right now. So when we get playing our best basketball, it's hard to beat us. And I mean, I feel like even if we're in a slump, I mean, it's still like we're 2-3 points ahead of teams, and I mean, it's like there's always room to build a lead and just win games. So I mean, it's been different.
You guys, that puts a target on your back, but do you like that target?
I mean, I'm kind of used to it because I had that in my high school season because we were the last undefeated team going into the state tournament sectionals, and I feel like everybody was trying to beat us, knock us off. So I mean, it's kind of transitioned into AAU. So now I'm kind of used to it, and I feel like everybody wants to beat us, and it's fun. I mean, it gives you the competitiveness out of you, and just want to beat everybody.
You've had a great summer individually as well. Your recruiting has just skyrocketed. You were already being recruited highly by Indiana and teams like that. But it really took off with several high scoring games. Your 3-point shooting has really come around. Not that it wasn't there before, but just everything is just getting bigger and better. Has that been fun for you, or where's the point where you're like, oh man, I need a break from this?
No, it definitely got a little stressful after Texas. I mean, I was probably getting a phone call every other hour, but no, it's definitely it's slowed down. Yeah, it's slowed down a little bit. It's like I'm trying to find time for myself a little bit, but yeah, but I know I try to answer every phone call. I'm not leaving anybody out right now. I'm not shutting any doors. So I mean, every phone call I get, I'll accept it. Give a little phone call conversation to anybody. So I mean, no, but it was definitely stressful at first. I'm a little relieved it slowed down, but no, I'm excited. I'm excited for all the new coaches that recruit me.
And it's got to be exciting to be wanted by that many as well, to have them see you and reach out to you. Because growing up, I mean, whether in high school or junior high, whatever, I mean, I know you watch these teams on TV and you're like, oh my God, this coach is calling me. What is that like to have someone that you have seen on TV or you just know who they are because of all that? And then the next thing you know, you're talking to them on the phone or at one of the events.
I mean, yeah, some of them were unexpected. I mean, I think I got a call from Coach Shubert Davis like literally the day after the Texas. It was like that Monday, and I was like, it's like I've been watching UNC for a little bit too, and then I got a call from Dan Hurley, and that was a good conversation. But no, it's definitely a cool experience. I'm grateful for all of it, and I'm just trying to figure out what's best for me.
Speaking of Hurley, can you imagine you just having a conversation with Hurley and say, well, the guy that's the head coach of the Lakers, I was just talking to him the other day. That's
Like
gotta
bragging
be,
rights.
yeah. I mean, but just the reality of that is, a year ago you were a lesser known high school player, not in the state, but those guys may not have known who you were then. I don't know if they did or not. But it's not the point that I'm making. It's just now you're sitting there talking to a potential new coach of the Lakers.
Yeah, no, that was insane. When I saw that on my phone the other day, I was like, I felt I just talked to him probably a week and a half ago. So I mean, I don't know what's going on with that situation. So I mean, I'm gonna keep it all rolling.
And as you should. Yesterday, I put out that Trent Sisley's recruiting dates have been set, visit dates. One of those with Indiana is on September 20th, that weekend. Same time as your recruiting visit, which you guys had talked about, but trying to work that in and make that happen. What is it about taking those visits with somebody that you know?
No, it's going with Malachi and Trent. It was small talk at the beginning of spring, and we kind of built it up. And I called Coach Walsh the other day saying that I wanted to set up a visit with them too, because I feel like it would be a big thing for all three of us going into IU, especially two of us being from Indiana. And so I mean, no, especially going with them that I know them. I've known both of them for a little bit, and no, I'm gonna have a fun time, and it's gonna be a fun time. Yeah.
What when you go on an official visit, what are you looking for? I know there's fun. They make it fun for you. There a lot of cool stuff of seeing this and that and meeting a lot of people. But what are you looking for on those visits?
I'm just looking forward to building my relationship with the coaches, the players, and the community. I feel like that the culture is. I like the culture piece. I mean, I tell that to every coach. I mean, my high school coach built our culture program from the base to where it is now. So it's I definitely think that's the first one. Then I always like to talk about the opportunity to play, just how I fit into a program. So just going into IU and they show me clips about what I can do best, and I feel like those are the top two for me.
Yeah, and culture, of course. And by culture, is it just winning? Was it about the culture piece?
No, yeah, the winning. I just want to build something new. I mean, I know IU. I mean, it's been something. I mean, they're still winning, and I feel like if I can go into a program and change it, I feel like that's a big thing for any program. So, winning's definitely that. But just getting to know everybody. I feel like if you build good relationships with everybody, you'll have a better chance at winning.
Yeah, especially a school like Indiana, who, yes, those 5 national championship banners they have hanging is certainly screams of culture, but it's not been quite there where it was. But they're like the sleeping giant, just waiting to be reawoken. And how special if that's, say you went to Indiana or you chose them and that happened on your watch. How special what would that mean to you personally?
I mean, being a kid from Indiana, just wearing an Indiana jersey, that would definitely be the most important part. Just especially being like an hour and a half from the campus and just getting everybody, all the family there, and to watch games. But no, it'd be something special to see an Indiana kid win something for his state.
How many games have you been able to go see at Simon Scott Assembly Hall?
I think I've been on like 5, 6 unofficial visits, and I did it like all before my season. I mean, I went to the Michigan State game. I think that was the only game at the end of the year I went to. But I think I went to the Marion Expedition game, and then I did like 2 unofficials before that weren't. It's been like 5 or 6 times. So I mean, it's going on a lot. I've been there a lot.
And the atmosphere, what did you take away from the atmosphere of those experiences?
I mean, I feel like everybody in that building loves basketball. They're all dialed into the game. There's so many fans. They're all love watching basketball, which is an Indiana thing, I feel like. And so, I mean, it's different. It's different in Bloomington.
You mentioned Brian Walsh, one of Indiana's assistants, who you obviously talk to quite often. The staff, the relationship there. How has that grown for you?
I mean, Coach Walsh, he was one of the first Power 5 coaches to ever recruit me, and it's been probably going on 2-3 years now. And no, but he calls every once in a while. He's kind of slowed down too, just because he doesn't want to bore me out sometimes. I mean, he knows that I'm getting a lot of phone calls, but I always enjoy hearing what he has to say. I always love catching up on the phone with him. But no, he's been recruiting me hard ever since like before my junior year. And I mean, it's gonna keep going. He said he was gonna ramp it up a little bit and see where I can fall at.
And the fact that he has the wherewithal to to say what you just said, to say I'm going to back off a little bit, because that's something I've never heard, which is, I think, a great thing, a very smart thing to do. But the fact that he was one of the first, or was the first, and does that tell you that, hey, man, they saw my talent before anybody else saw it, they trusted me before anybody else, and how important is that to you?
No, it's definitely important. I mean, since he's been recruiting me the longest, I've got to talk to him the longest. I got to build that relationship with him for the longest. So, I mean, I definitely know him the best out of most coaches, and I feel like that's a big thing for me because I want to build relationships with everybody.
And so does that mean you would be the most disappointed if you didn't go to where to play for him?
Oh, no, yeah.
Oh, it's great. What are you looking for? You're heading off to the NBA Top 100 camp tomorrow, right?
Actually, I backed out of it because I told my dad I would have been playing 12 days straight, and I needed a break because it would have been too much for me. I'm on like day 3 right now, and I'm sore as ever, and I feel like I wouldn't have been able to keep up with everybody because I mean I'm coming fresh off that little back injury I had probably 3 months ago, and I just don't want to flame it back up. So I told him I was not going.
See, that's a very smart thing to do as well. That's like one of those guys that, I'm not going to the NFL thing. You've seen me play. Everyone has gotten plenty of opportunities to see you play. And like I've mentioned, whether it's been with Indiana Elite, that's been going on since the spring. You guys have been going. Then the All-Star stuff came around, and you've had all of that going as well. Then you've got these visits set up. When will you plan to have all of your officials, or how many do you have set up?
I think I'm trying to set up 7 or 8 right now. I don't really have dates off the top of my head. But I know I'm trying to go into football games in October. I'm pretty sure I'm going to like Tennessee football game for my official. Then I'm going to IU on the 20th. I think the only set date I have is IU right now. But no, I'm trying to do UConn, Kansas, North Carolina for just basketball official visits. But then I'm trying to figure out what else I need to go to. But I think Purdue may be one, and I'm trying to set that official up too.
Well, we'll wait till those come out, and of course, hopefully you'll get back to us on that and let us know when that happens. What are you looking forward to besides this the 3SSB thing coming up in July? When are you going to just try to take some time off, or is there that going to be a possibility?
Well, I mean, I have this June high school basketball stuff right now, so I'm going through that right now, and then I transition back into AAU, but it's less in July, and then August I think I'm playing in a pro-am again with Kyle Guy's thing in Noblesville, but no, after that I think September, October I get those like 2 months of breaks. So I'll probably just work out and everything, but no, I'm not playing during that time, so I'll get a little bit of downtime then.
Looking forward to that. What has been the funnest thing you've done so far this summer?
Wow, gotta go back. I mean, definitely. I mean, those 3SSB sessions are fun. I mean, just playing against the top of the top competition. But no, the junior all-star game was also it's an accomplishment, and I feel like that was a big thing for me and my community. Just especially seeing people from Greenfield show out into Kokomo. I mean, that was like an hour and a half drive, so it was it was definitely a cool experience to just see people watch, and I'm hoping to be back up there next year or wherever it's going to be next. So it's gonna be fun.
Getting the taste that you got with the junior all-stars this year, how special does that make looking forward to next year? Because of course you'll be a senior all-star, but that's the stage. And how forward are you looking to that of being on that senior all-star team? Where go back and do some research, look at the guys that have played on that back. Larry Bird you'll get more playing time in the All-Star game than Larry Bird did. I guarantee you that. He was not happy. He didn't get the playing time he wanted. But Oscar Robertson, some of the greatest names in the history of the game have been an Indiana All-Star. That's something that most of us don't get to put on the shelf.
No, yeah, I mean it's definitely a cool accomplishment. I mean, especially get to playing with some of them this year. I mean, it's kind of like a startup, and then building that chemistry up till next year. I mean, we really didn't get to practice for a junior all-star team, so we were playing just free and playing against those senior all-stars. They had plays and everything. So I feel like if we get a little bit of basic concept of basic plays, I feel like we'll be a tough team to beat next year.
And you're taking the visit to Indiana, you mentioned, with Trent and Malachi. What's it been like playing with those guys? Because I mentioned how you all you're all different, and you perfectly fit your roles. That doesn't happen on teams very often. But it's just like, this is like a hand in a glove. What's it been like playing with Trent and Malachi?
I mean, it's definitely it's been a great experience. I mean, I've been playing with Malachi since like 8th grade. Trent just moved in from the Indy Heat team. So, I mean, I thought it was going to be something hard to start out with, but no. Trent, I mean, if you need a bucket, you can get the ball to Trent, me, or Malachi. So it's like we have all three of those scorers. And then Mark knows where to find people. And then Dez is also an underrated athlete, and he'll do the dirty work for you too down low. But no, it's been different, and I feel like Malachi having that 7-foot presence in the paint, I mean, it gets everybody's attention. So I feel like me and Trent get open off of that, and Trent knows how to run the floor, get open fast breaks, and then just me running around the 3-point line, going off plays Coach Fox calls for me. So it's definitely fun. We all three know how to do different things.
And I've asked you this before at one of the AAU games, and I know that you've been asked and talked about this, and you are taking the visits together. How cool would it be for you to go to the same school in college and continue that fluid play that you guys seem to have? I mean, it definitely, you can tell that there's chemistry there. And so how cool would it be? And is there even a chance that is a likely possibility?
No, I feel like it's definitely a chance. I mean, we all three been talking about it. I mean, we all play well with each other, and I feel like if we can transition that into college, I mean, we can all three play at the same place. So, I mean, it's definitely something to bring up to the other two and see what they like and see what I like. So, I mean, no, it's definitely not ruled out.
You know, that would just automatically almost be a number one recruiting class in the country. That's something else that would be amazing, I would think, to be a part of.
No, yeah, no, it would be something special, especially getting to play with those two again, and for another 4 years if that's what it has to come down to.
Skipping to something just totally off the beach here. I know you probably do not know who Patrick Swayze is.
I do not.
Your dad will know who he is. Your dad, Josh, and thank him for being helpful. But one of the listeners or viewers rather, said that you look like a young Patrick Swayze, and that's a compliment. Yeah, your dad will know exactly who Patrick Swayze is. So he's an actor. So you got that going for you. So you, whatever college you end up going, you'll go in looking like a young Patrick Swayze. So that's you got that going for you as well. What's the next thing you're looking forward to doing after this, so where you can just chill? Where's your what is your chill zone?
I mean, when I try to get away from basketball, I mean, I try to go hang out with friends as much as possible, just to live my life normally as a kid. And I feel like that's something to do. But no, sometimes I'll just go into the gym by myself, throw in 2 AirPods, listen to music, just get away from all of it. So, I mean, those are definitely 2 things get me away from all of it, and just to move on from all the drama and the stress that I can get.
Well, buddy, I appreciate you as always. You have been very, very gracious to spend your beautiful morning with us, and I know you'd rather be resting and go back to do just that. But looking forward to doing this again. I'll see you over the course of the summer, hopefully down at Rock Hill as well. And good luck the rest of the way. And thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate having me.
Brallan Mullins, appreciate you, brother. Brallan Mullins joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, one of the hottest recruits in the United States, a member of Indiana Elite, and the vaunted 2025 class out of the state of Indiana as well. We've got more coming up. We've got to take a break. Brought to you by our good friends at the Ugly Grouper, located on beautiful Anna Maria Island, Florida. Whether you're already there or will be in the area, make sure you stop by and check out their incredible menu. It's got amazing food, locally sourced seafood, your favorite cocktails and craft beers, live music every day. Just go to theuglygrouper.com for more information. We're back right after this.
We'll be right back for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
In the market for a new or used vehicle? Well, nobody beats the prices and selection of Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington. Right now, get a brand new Honda with no payments for 90 days. That's right, 2023 and 2024 Honda Pilots, HRVs, CRVs, Honda Ridgelines, payment-free for 90 days. Or get 0.9% APR financing for 36 months on a 2023 Honda Ridgeline. Go to AndyMooreHonda.com and get more to your door. If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com.
Looking for someone to cater your next corporate event, family reunion, or tailgate? To some, a garnish may be nothing more than just a decoration put last on a plate. But in Bloomington, catering starts with Garnish Catering. Serving all of Bloomington and surrounding areas, Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of WOW Food Group.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33 is located just west of I-69 off the Lloyd Expressway. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf Community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details.
Formerly BB's Chop Shop Market and Table is located on South Walnut in Bloomington and is your one-stop shop for high-quality meats, bakery items, and now fresh seafood. Chop Shop Market and Table has the largest selection of in-house made products around and everything you need to make a gourmet meal at home. Or pick out a tomahawk steak or a grouper filet and enjoy it cooked to perfection in Chop Shop Steakhouse. Chop Shop Market and Table, a part of the Wild Food Group, is your butcher, baker, and fish house, no matter where you live.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville and Evansville.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Friday. A fantastic looking Friday. Indiana All-Stars seniors taking on Kentucky tonight down in Kentucky, I believe. And then tomorrow night at Gamebridge Fieldhouse. I think it's that way and not the other way around. Man, cannot believe it's Friday already. And it was another fun show. Michael Mangarelli, thank you, sir. And speaking of Michael Mangarelli, you can go follow him on X. I'm not going to say formerly known as. That's stupid because that'll go on. How long are people going to do that? I still see people write that X, formerly Twitter. Dude, you can't keep saying both. Why? It's over. It's just X now. But what a cool link to have. Can you imagine if your email or whatever was x.com? Not bad. But go to X and follow Michael Mangarelli at No Sacred Cows. He can answer your questions or do whatever because there's plenty of it. Big thanks to Michael. Big thanks to Zach Osterman as always and Brallan Mullins. He was fun. It always amazes me when those guys are as easy flowing and thinking and can talk on this level. I promise you, I don't think that I could have at that age. I would have been as bad as I am at this age, probably. But guys like him and Trent, it's like, it doesn't bother them. They're more mature today than, well, at least me and the guys I hung out with, unfortunately. Hope everybody has and is ready for a great weekend. What are the weekend plans? Hopefully some of you are going to the All-Star game at Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Let's see, anything, what else? The college baseball playoffs are still going on. You've got the NBA finals that have started. Celtics winning game 1 last night. Am I missing anything else, John or Tyler? I know you're both there. So
I think you've hit pretty much everything on the head that's going on this weekend.
I will say I normally don't comment on stuff, but that sounded like a good – Indiana seems to be in a very good place with Braylon. I'm not saying anything more than that because everybody, like he said, he's got an open phone. He takes all callers right now. So he mentioned UConn. So the fact that Hurley may not even be there doesn't seem to be changing that one. But why would it? They've won more national titles in the last 30 years than any other program, which is amazing. So the great run there. So what a list that he ran off. North Carolina, Kansas, UConn, Indiana, Purdue is now in the mix. But again, I talked earlier about Purdue with their roster situation. They had the decommitment of Kanan Catchings yesterday, which is that's a huge loss. First of all, because they would not have had to have Mason Gillis leave again. What do you think welcome to the world of the portal
Purdue's going to get a quick lesson in it, but I think it's beneficial for Purdue actually, because now they can go to the portal, and instead of having a freshman come in, they can go get either a senior or a junior, a guy that's going to be there for 2 years, and bring some experience to that team next year that I think they're going to need more of than the Purdue fans think. So, but we shall see. I know we started a different, just an off. So hope everybody's ready for a great weekend. Big thanks to JTP, John the producer, for putting in all the oh yeah, and he hosted yesterday too. How was that? Hope you had fun.
Yeah, we had a loaded lineup too, so that definitely helped.
Well, we
out.
always do.
I'll say them.
Absolutely. Well, I try to make it easy for you, but now I'll be able to take off every now and then to do stuff. It's amazing. It's an amazing thought, and I'm grateful for each and every one of you. Without you, we have no reason to be here. Looking forward to being back at it on Monday. Don't forget the All-Star games are going on though tonight, and thehoosier.com will have complete coverage of all of that and more. So make sure you're tuning in to us and there as well. Until Monday, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.